Is that a problem? When you're a freelance, and the reason I kind of harp on that is that's really the entry point into the business. I would ask them questions like, how many small jobs do you do? It takes the small ones to get the big ones. If I went out once a week and I did a 400-page medical malpractice transcript with a videographer that sold 5 copies, I would work once a month, okay? But it takes the small ones to get the big ones. These attorneys, there's a lot that goes into getting 2 attorneys and a deponent sitting around the table, okay? Things happen. Guess what? We can't call in sick, okay? If I accept a job, I'll be there. I can't call in sick. That deponent can call in sick. That deponent that can call and say, I can't make it today. All right? The attorneys can call in and say, hey, Miss Smith isn't going to be able to be at this deposition. She's got to take her child to the doctor. Okay? That happens. No-shows and cancellations happen. Our time is important, though. Our time is worth money, so we have to remember, we have to talk to them about how do you keep up with that. Because if I book you for a job tomorrow and I call you at 5 o'clock tonight and say that job canceled, guess what? I owe you some money, right? I owe you some money because you've cleared your schedule for tomorrow. Now, you might be able to find something to do. Certainly, you're going to find a transcript that needs reading or a download and an upgrade that you need to get online and talk to tech support and make sure that Dragon 18,000 whatever you got to upload and this, that, and the other thing. And there are uses of your time. But when I booked you, I gotta find out when you came up with that. That's a good one. Because I want to look at them now. Raise your hand though, because I'm leaving. I'm not leaving. No, darling, that's fine, sweetheart. Darling, this is my sister. And I am from Georgia. So, your time is worth money. I said at the beginning, you're going into an industry that has a lot of demand, okay? Your time is worth money. That's why I appreciate you coming down here today and listening to me. I hope that I'm going to give you something that you can take away and use. It's easier and makes more sense to just talk about the freelance side of the world, because the judicial side, working in the courtroom setting, can be confusing, it can be annoying, and it can be so boring. I know I see some familiar faces that have sat with me down in Clayton County. And what I will tell you about working in a courtroom is your relationship with the judge is critical to how the entire process works out for you, okay? If that judge has idiosyncrasies, I think is the word I'm looking for, that that judge might not want anybody drinking a bottle of water in front of him. Well, you know what? I've been talking for 2 hours. I need a bottle of water, all right? I'm taking down one plea after the other, and this is the 10,000th time I've heard a state prosecutor tell someone for their DUI that they've got 40 hours of community service, $300 fine. They need to have a drug and alcohol evaluation, any treatment if necessary. They'll be randomly tested for drugs and alcohol while on probation, or by probation during probation. And the judge says, you have 30 days to file an appeal and 12 months to file a writ of habeas corpus. I know almost everything that's going to be said. Sometimes I need a cup of coffee, okay? So if you're not like me and you can stay awake like that, but okay. But if the judge, if I'm working for, now I'm not saying I can go in and do this for a couple of days. All right, this judge doesn't want anybody drinking coffee in here. That's cool. He's the judge, I'm not going to do it. But do I want to spend 5 years working for that guy? No. All right? Remember, you're in demand too. Okay?
Well, on that track, can you give, because what we don't know yet.
Right,
so
right.
We don't have that experience when you're going to interview. The questions are important. So what are some of the key things as a new reporter that you want to zero in on with that judge to make sure that it is a good fit?
A good fit.
What are the red flags to look for? Obviously, how do you appropriately ask the question you want without, maybe shooting yourself in the foot?
I would sit in. I would ask the judge if I could sit in this courtroom. Okay. I would say, Your Honor, can I sit in and see how you run your courtroom? I would say, Your Honor, can we try this out for a week? I'd love to be your court reporter. Can I sit down and observe you in court and see how that looks? Most judges that I've ran into are very easy to work with. Okay? Not all judges, not all lawyers, not all court reporters, not any, you can be in any business and find somebody you don't want to work with. Judges will be, I always say judges will be the last ones replaced by robots, They've got a unique job, and with that, they've got a unique responsibility. They carry a lot of weight on their shoulders. Some of them are easy to work with. You might like a judge that I wouldn't like to work with, and vice versa. I would suggest sitting in. Most courtrooms are open to the public. You can go in. If a judge has an opening, you don't even have to tell them you're there. You can just go in and sit in the back. And see. If you think, ooh, boy, I don't want to work for this guy, or oh man, she's too much. Or you go in, here's some things I would look for. If you go in and you observe them and you see they've got a full courtroom, and how long are they on the bench?
Yeah.
Are they leaving the bench and leaving everybody in there? When you see everybody sit, there's not anything going down. For example, normally in a courtroom, let's take state court because state court is your misdemeanor courtrooms. This is possibility of 12 months incarceration. We're talking jail, not prison in state courts, okay? People are there for your DUI, your tag was expired and your headlight was burned out, got in a fight, all that kind of business. There'll be a packed courtroom of people on an arraignment day, and there'll be prosecutors and defense attorneys, and if the prosecutors are all sitting down, the defense attorneys are all sitting down, everybody's sitting down in the courtroom, all the business is handled, but the judge isn't on the bench, then you got to go, okay, well, what's he doing back there? Why aren't we moving this along a little bit quicker? Or if you go in, you sit down, and the judge berates and somebody half to death, and you think, well, I don't want to work for a guy like this, There are a lot of different things that can go on in a courtroom. The most important thing I'll tell you about courtroom, though, from a tradecraft standpoint, from a technical standpoint, is you have to be ready and willing to raise your hand and say, Your Honor, these people have got to quit talking over each other. That cat in the back needs to sit down, and that baby crying over there needs to stop, and they're printing off paper on this printer right next to me. I can't do my job. You've got to be willing to say that, because without us being in that courtroom, it can turn into chaos. You know, you can stick a microphone in that courtroom, and there's no telling what you've heard. But with a reporter sitting down there, taking it down, and asking people to repeat themselves, asking them to spell their name on the record. In a busy trial, someone might take the stand, be sworn in, and you've never even heard their name. Excuse me, sir, could you spell your name for me? And then we go back into it. That's courtroom stuff. I imagine, like I said, I imagine most of y'all will probably get started in the freelance side of it to get your feet wet. A day in the life of a freelance reporter is a lot like a day in the life of a reporter that's working in a courtroom. The biggest difference is in the courtroom setting, not everything that's said needs to be produced and transcribed. When you're in a deposition, you're there specifically for a series of questions and answers. I'm sorry, I could have been a little better prepared here, but in a courtroom setting, one of the most important things when you talk to your judge, find out, Your Honor, do you want me to take this down? Remember, when in doubt, take it down. It's not going to kill you, okay? But there's not everything that happens every time somebody stands in front of a judge does it have to be taken down either. You go in and you're doing one criminal arraignment after the other, and then all of a sudden somebody pops in with a speeding ticket that's never been accused officially by a solicitor. So it's just a ticket. It's a little bit different. The big difference, though, is that when you're in the freelance deposition setting, you're taking it all down. And I hope I gave you guys something to work with here. I could give you a lot more, but I'd just be rambling at that point. We've got a lot left for you. We've got a few minutes for some more questions if you have them. You want me to go with those now?
Yeah, because they're for you.
And I have to apologize on video because 6 minutes into this, I realized the microphone wasn't on.
Oh.
So we got to start
I'm
all over again.
I'm a reporter. I remember everything that was said.
All right. So what I'm going to say while Rich is reading questions to anyone listening is that this is the Janice Baker firm. Associates, we have Janna and Rich Baker, and Rich is down there right now reading questions because Janna had the great idea that if you have a question, you write it on a piece of paper, ball it up, and throw it at them. They will reach down and read your questions for you. So that is what Rich is doing right now.
I thought that would be a good way to keep everybody awake, but I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I was going to bring you guys some Play-Doh to fool around with to keep your creative juices flowing.
My sister. I will be happy to do this, and this is neat. My sister's terribly creative.
Terribly great.
Terribly. As a new reporter, what is the expected amount of jobs per week? Amount of jobs per week. For freelance. When you're new, you're gonna take it a little easy. obviously. What you want to do is you want to be able to know that everything's working. Everything you've been taught in theory, now you're putting into practice. You've got your systems in place. Whatever those systems are, all right? You may end up doing something completely different as you ramp up the volume of work that you want to do. All right? To get to a level where you're billing out 6 figures, that's going to be a different animal than when you're billing out, $2,000 in a month. Amount of jobs per week, I would say as quick as you can get to. It might take you a few months to get to that point. I'd say a good steady to see how you're going to fit would be probably that 3 job per week.